Hey, it's Mr. Scary Cake, and we're going to play, I think, another dating game. I'm not entirely certain if this is a dating game or not, but it seemed that way. Plus, I know right off the bat I'm a girl, so we don't have to go with any discoveries. Ah. Ah. How kind of you to finally grace us with your presence, Miss Coleridge. And see, the names are in English this time, so I'm going to be able to read them. Samantha made a vague murmur of assent as she slunk onto the coach, head bowed, trying to avoid the eyes of her peers. How long had they been waiting for her, anyway? Miss Pope's tone made it sound as though it had been hours upon hours, but Samantha knew that couldn't be right. Sure, she had woken up a little late, tried 20 minutes late, but she had dressed as quickly as she could, to the point where it had caused her genuine physical harm. It was all because of her socks. It was almost always because of her socks. The stupid things were a lethal hazard. Whilst teetering on her left foot trying to pull one sock up over her right knee, Samantha had slipped and lost her balance, cracking her head against the side of her bed as she fell to the floor. Jeez. Stupid socks. Yeah. They'd caused her injury more times than she could count. Why had she bothered to get out of bed at all? Being scolded by her least favorite teacher, all the while suffering from the after effects of blunt force trauma, was not the best start to the day. It was a shame. She had been looking forward to this trip for a while, too. About as much as she had been able to look forward to anything these days. Miss Coleridge, what are you dawdling for? Well... You have already wasted enough time and we are on a tight schedule. I know you young girls enjoy being the center of attention, but don't you think you've made enough of a spectacle of yourself as it is? Yes, miss. I'm sorry. And again with the apologies. You always apologize, as if it means anything when you do it so often. I'm sorry? You're just proving my point. Samantha stared resolutely at the floor. She didn't want Miss Pope to know she was blushing. She didn't want to give her the satisfaction. It was strange just how much hatred Miss Pope was capable of exuding, particularly given she was so small. I think that's kind of true. How could it? No. A lot of tiny people are just full of anger. How could a person so tiny, almost elfin in their appearance, possess so much contempt towards their fellow man? Might not want to tell her that. But maybe that was the reason why Miss Pope was so perpetually grumpy. Samantha had suspected for a while now that her teacher had a chip on her shoulder about her childish appearance, a chip so large it was nearing the size of the Amazon rainforest. Samantha had never asked, because she knew doing so would be tantamount to suicide, but she got the feeling Miss Pope had been bullied a lot as a child. I will try not to be late anymore. Rather, I have been trying. Just very poorly. Clearly, you have not been trying hard enough. Trying is not particularly useful if it does not yield any results. Yes, miss. Miss Pope sighed. I do not say these things for fun, you know. Lecturing you on the same things day after day gets incredibly tedious. I have no desire to stand around berating a girl who has no capacity or capability of changing. Yes, miss. Now hurry up and take your seat. Yes, miss. I'm sorry. And I really do wish you would stop apologizing so much. Yes, miss. And with that, her voice barely more than a whisper, Samantha brushed past Miss Pope to search for her seat. She could feel the eyes of her classmates boring into her back as she wandered down the coach. They were all talking amongst themselves, their voices mingled together like twittering starlings. Samantha was sure they were laughing at her. They always did. Granted, she did give them a lot of material to laugh at, so she did not exactly fault them for it, but being the constant butt of everyone's jokes did rather become tedious after a while. Maybe I should learn to put my socks on better. Although Samantha usually took other people's jibes in good faith, she wasn't really in the mood for it. Not today. Not in front of her. Lillian. The blonde girl, a few months Samantha's senior, was sitting at the front of the coach, her hair tied up as per usual. Unlike Samantha's, Lillian's uniform was never crumpled, creased, or wrinkled, and she always remembered to do up the top button of her blouse. Lillian's legs were demurely crossed, her tights devoid of holes or ladders, her hands, fingernails cut carefully, 10 perfect little crescent moons resting on her knees. Lillian turned her head, blonde hair shifting over one shoulder, and for a few brief moments her eyes met Samantha's. Samantha flushed, her cheeks turning deep red as she turned away. She hadn't been staring, had she? She hoped she hadn't been staring. Well, if you're able to notice someone's fingernails, I think you've probably been staring at them a little too long. When it came to Lillian, Samantha always stared. Well, then you probably were staring. She couldn't help it. There was no denying it, even though she often tried to. Lillian really was beautiful. Though Samantha didn't want to look at Lillian, didn't even want to acknowledge her presence, she couldn't help herself. Whenever Lillian was in Samantha's vicinity, Samantha's eyes sought her out without her brain's consent. Even though the end result was inevitable, the brief moment where their gazes crossed, the blushing and stammering, the embarrassed looked away. Miss Coleridge, I will not ask you again. Would you please find your seat, or were you hoping to keep us waiting until next Christmas? I'm glad I've just been standing here. Samantha jumped. Miss Pope's voice was cold, and it made the hairs at the back of her neck stand up on end. No, miss. I'm sorry. Head hanging, feet shuffling, she continued onwards, feeling much like a criminal being led to the gallows. Honestly. Miss Pope sighed, running one hand through her hair. I don't even teach geography. Why I had to give up my precious weekend to supervise this trip is beyond me. Maybe this is some kind of divine punishment. For once, Samantha agreed wholeheartedly with her sour-faced English teacher. Having Miss Pope act as a supervisor for this geography field trip really was a punishment. Not even Dante could have conceived of it. Hey, Sam. Over here. Ah! Samantha found herself being waved over by her close friend, Roberta. Oh wait, I just read that again. The seat next to her was empty. She must have been saving it for her, even though Samantha had arrived almost half an hour late. Jeez. Saving her a seat for so long showed dedication, or maybe it showed that after 6 years of friendship, Roberta knew Samantha well enough to realize she was almost always late for everything. Either way, Samantha was touched. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate it. It's no problem. Roberta surveyed her friend, a small frown on her face. Did you have a rough night? You can tell? The bags under your eyes look awful. Ah ha ha. Are they really that obvious? They really are. She does not look amused with us, urged Samantha. I assume I'm playing Samantha. They really are. You'd have to be blind not to spot them. Thanks. And I tried so hard to hide them, too. A sigh. I guess I did a pretty lousy job. Samantha had never been very good at makeup, which is why she rarely bothered. She often wondered if her lack of makeup know-how was her mother's fault. Wasn't it the job of the mother to teach their daughter all the tricks of the trade when it came to lipstick, eyeliner, and eyeshadow? But Samantha's mother had never had the time. She was too busy. Much, much too busy to spend time with her daughter. Do you want to borrow any of my makeup? No, it's alright. I think it's too early in the morning for that. Too early? Oh, well, I'm not a girl, so I just don't understand how makeup works. Samantha couldn't apply eyeliner worth a damn standing before a full-length mirror, so the prospect of her being able to do so successfully on a moving bus with only Roberta's handheld compact for reference was laughable. Oh well, suit yourself. You can tell me if you change your mind, though. By the way, you cut your hair last night, didn't you? Yes, I did. Samantha fingered a lock of her newly shorn hair, twisting about one finger. Maybe this had been a mistake. Although her hair was not short, just past her shoulders, it was still too short for comfort, and she couldn't hide behind it as successfully as she once had been able to. It left her feeling unpleasantly exposed, which only amplified the feeling of her fellow classmates' derisive stares. Yeah, Samantha had never intended to cut her hair this short. She hadn't intended to cut it at all, not until yesterday. Looking back on it, she hadn't really been in her right mind. Maybe she should have slept on it. Do you think it looks nice? It's different, I'll say that much. That's a no. That'd be a no there, Samantha. I take it that's a no then, yeah. It's not a no, exactly. It's just I'm not trying to hurt your feelings here. Roberta hemmed and hawed judiciously, coiling a strand of her own hair around one finger. It looks funny. Yeah, that'd be a no, that looks good. The ends are all different lengths. So it really does look bad. Well, yes. It's alright. You don't need to try and spare my feelings. Even if you don't tell me it looks bad, I'm sure somebody else will at some point. I'd rather hear it from a friend first. It wouldn't look too bad if you had the ends straightened out, I suppose. At the moment, I'm just struggling to understand why. Why what? Why you cut it yourself? There are people you can pay to do that, proper professionals. And if you really absolutely had to do it yourself, couldn't you have gone to a salon afterwards so they could trim it for you? Of course, Roberta would offer a sensible solution. Roberta always offered sensible solutions. Is this really? Well, it is sensible, but your decision was crazy, so I mean, I suppose that would make sense, yes. I didn't really think it through, clearly. You've always been impulsive, haven't you? It wasn't impulsive, not really. You just thought it was impulsive. I was thinking about cutting it for a while. No, you weren't. Yesterday it just seemed like the right time. It seemed like the right time. Even though you knew we were going on our geography field trip today? That you were going to be sitting on a coach filled with your peers, all of whom will be judging you for hours. Well, you know, I enjoy being the center of attention, my dear Roberta. Miss Pope said it herself. Doesn't this seem characteristic of one as vain as I? Samantha tried to rebuff Roberta's query with a dry quip, but Roberta knew Samantha too well to be taken in. Just those eyes just staring at me. Samantha tried to rather than smiling as Samantha had hoped, she instead frowned, her eyebrows furrowing. I get the feeling there's something you're not telling me. Why, I don't need to tell you everything. You're not my mother. All right, fine. I'll be quiet. You don't need to bite my head off, though. I was only offering you my opinion, which you did ask for, don't forget. Samantha let her head hang her fringe, the only part of her hair untouched by her merciless assault last night, obscuring her eyes. I know. I'm sorry, Bobby. I didn't mean to snap at you. I'm just tired. Roberta sniffed. Sometimes I think you don't appreciate how much I have to put up with, Sam. I know. I'm sorry. Nobody else will be foolish enough to open their door to you at 4 a.m, you know. Especially not when you're convinced you're dying of a brain tumor because your teeth hurt. I'm aware of that, Bobby, but you are exaggerating. That only happened once. It was one time out of many. If it isn't pain in your teeth, it's a pain in your head, a pain in your ear, a pain in your side, a pain in your stomach. If you actually suffered from all the afflictions you claim to have, you'd be dead by now. Maybe I would be happier that way. Don't say that, Samantha. We'll get you out of this slump. No. No what? Don't even think about it. Don't even talk about it. The thought makes you that unhappy? The thought makes me angry. You mean you wouldn't miss me if I died? I never said I wouldn't miss you, but I would be annoyed at you. I didn't put this much effort into being your friend all these years for you to go and kill yourself. It would be incredibly rude of you. Heh. Samantha couldn't help but smile, even though Roberta's words were not exactly complimentary. I apologize. I'll try not to be selfish in the future. Good. I've invested too much into our friendship for you to throw it all away. I'm just trying to look out for you, Sam. You need somebody to take care of you, and I don't mind helping, but I wish you would appreciate me a little bit more. I do appreciate you, Bobby. Are you sure? I'm sure. I swear on it. Scout's honor. Roberta shook her head, bemused. You've never been a Girl Scout. Well, most people swear on their mother's life, but I haven't seen her in so long she may as well be dead. Jeez, for all I care. How morbid. You shouldn't speak about your mother like that. Maybe I wouldn't if she ever bothered to speak to me at all. Well, I suppose that'll do. For the moment, anyway. Oh. Well, that was abrupt, but, you know, looks like we've got our work cut out for her. We're gonna help Samantha through this slump. We're gonna get things done. She might talk to her mother in the future, but that's not really relevant. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna empower her to, I think, we may not even have any choices. I may just be speaking completely out of my ass. But that's our goal. Empowerment of Samantha. See you guys next time. Have sweet dreams. Come on. I forget how to stop sometimes.